You are live.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Bangor City Council. Today is Wednesday, October 16th, 2024. It is 7:30 p.m. We begin our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to ask outgoing Councillor Dina Yakabaga to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Those of you who've attended meetings before know you typically stand. As I'm addressing the members of the public, unfortunately I'm nursing an injury to my foot, so I'm going to sit tonight. It's a little less formal than I prefer, but I hope you all will bear with me. Thank you. This is the portion of the meeting set aside for public comment for concerns related to city business. Public comment, whether in person or via Zoom, requires you to state your name and whether you are a resident of Bangor. Obscene, threatening, or overly repetitive remarks will be interrupted and removed, as will disruption and disorderly behavior that interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. The council chair has discretion over the time allowed for public comment. Tonight we have 60 minutes for public comment. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes for comment and no more. You will hear an alarm when it's your turn to step away from the podium. Personnel complaints pertaining to alleged misconduct of individual employees are handled through a different confidential process and will not be entertained by the council in public. Per Maine law, complaints of misconduct are generally entitled to confidentiality and handled in executive session. The public comment period is for city council members to listen. It's the city council's practice not to respond or debate with persons during the public comment period, although we may ask follow-up questions. If a comment requires additional action, it will be either taken up by a city council committee or followed up on by the appropriate city staff member. If you do not live in Bangor or own property in Bangor, please allow those who do live and own property in Bangor to have the opportunity to speak first. If you'd like to offer comment on any item related to city business not appearing on the regular agenda, you may approach the podium. On Zoom, the public can be recognized to speak by using the hand raise function or on the phone by pressing *9.
Okay.
Hand, because you're started.
Okay. Oh. Thank you, Debbie. My name is Scott Party. I'm a resident of Bangor, and I'm here tonight to give you all an update on Fresh Start. We haven't talked about that in a little while. And to talk about misinformation around our discharge policy and procedure. It was brought to our attention that the city was concerned about Fresh Start adding to the homeless population by bringing in people from away and ejecting them to the street. That is false. Fresh Start population consists of 35% coming to us unhoused, 28% from incarceration, and the balance from hospitals, detox providers, rehabs, and from home. There are Fresh Start members that have left to become homeless. 97% of those came to us homeless. We work diligently to protect our members from becoming homeless. We work diligently to make sure our members have safe and affordable housing. Safe means that they live in a place that does not allow drug or alcohol use. Affordable means just that, $165 per week, which includes everything in a nice home. We have programs that help 18 have free rent for up to 60 days, and that is courtesy of the Maine Association of Recovery Residences. Full disclosure, I'm the board president of that agency that certifies recovery residences in Maine. All Fresh Start houses are MAR certified. I have brought a few members with me that may or may not speak. I think it is important to have faces of Fresh Start in front of you. I want to thank the City of Bangor and the City Council for their continued support. We value our relationship and our partnership with the city. Fresh Start has grown to 18 locations and 153 beds. Fresh Start is at max capacity with no rooms available. It is obvious that more safe, affordable, and sober housing is desperately needed. We will continue to grow because of that demand. This is an altruistic movement, and we are morally obligated to grow until the demand is satisfied. And I thank you. If you have any questions or concerns, I'll turn it over.
Oh, can I go? I already got off. Thanks. Good evening. My name is Michael Anthony Norton. I'm at 83 Elm Street, Apartment C, Bangor, Maine. Bangor resident for about 6 years. I've decided and been inspired to run for United States President in 2028. And that's because I can't get employment, even in the wilderness-loving state of Maine, the great outdoors state of Maine, and the great administrative state of Maine, and city and county, the city of which is less than 1% of square mileage of the whole county. But I hope I'll have everyone's vote come 2028, because I was able to figure out a pretty compelling argument why the sky is blue foundationally, and what that ecological purpose is. But I'm amazed by all the misinformation in our neighborhoods and our community, because Bangor has a University of Maine section. And it's not just about homeless people and drug addicts and drunks. The hospital networks here erroneously expend more drugs and alcohol than anyone on the streets. And that includes our law enforcement sector, the lawyers, the judges, and the law enforcement officers. So it's going to be really difficult for me, being an invisible man in my own country, to try and run for president. But it should not be that difficult for me, who has yet to hear from anyone why the sky is blue, why I can't get an employment position as a professor in a community abundant with universities. And it should not have to do with my foot size, my hand size, my neck size, my heart size, my brain size, my below the waist size. And, well, I'll just pose the question for anyone in the room tonight. If you could tell me why the sky is blue correctly, I'll walk out of Bangor and never return again. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm James Burgo, I'm General Manager of Fresh Start Sober Living, and I have to apologize, I was not prepared to follow a future presidential candidate, so I didn't write anything. I just wanted to talk really quickly about our referral transfer discharge policy. If you notice, it's titled referral transfer discharge policy because referrals and transfers, referrals to a higher level of care, transfers to alternative equal housing opportunities are foremost when we are dealing with a member that we can no longer continue to support or to house. It's very important to us that when people leave Fresh Start, whether they leave on good terms or whether they're leaving unfavorably or whether they're leaving unwillingly, that they have somewhere safe to go and that we're not putting them in a worse situation or a very dangerous situation. I myself show up to every discharge or every recurrence of use or every issue that we're having in the house that becomes a situation that is will potentially turn into a discharge, and assess the situation myself. Make sure that this policy that I've written, that's MAR certified, is followed, and we're very careful. I provide transportation, reach out to emergency contacts, call shelters, take people to warning centers, exhaustive, get people back into detox. We've allowed people to stay in our houses that we know are using for 24 hours until we can get them into a detox. I've taken many people in the middle of the night to the hospital, get them to the hospital, get them medically cleared, and we bring them back. We make, again, exhaustive efforts to retain clients. We try with everything we can to not discharge anybody, and that's an absolute last resort. That wasn't always the case, We have a little more support, we have a little more knowledge and a little more experience, and quite a support network now. And lots of people in local organizations that I can call and ask for help and get assistance with, making sure that somebody's leaving from Fresh Start and going to somewhere that's safe. And they're not just, we've never put anybody out in the middle of the night onto the street and said, you have to leave, go out, go out off into the wilderness you go. So I just wanted to make that clear. I brought a copy of our referral transfer discharge policy to leave with you all. And anybody can reach out to us to come to the office and talk with us in the future. If you have questions about this, this is a MAR-approved policy. I just want it understood that we don't throw people out for no reason. I know that people have talked to local law enforcement, probation, other organizations that support homelessness and say, Fresh Start kicked me out for no reason. That never happens. We don't just kick people out for any reason. When we make some exhaustive efforts to support them, we do document what efforts were made, and then there's much more that we remember or that we understand about people. We have a lot of people who are returning clients. They come several times. So I appreciate you giving me some time to discuss this, and I'll pass this along so you guys can take a look at this. And feel free, any of you, to come to our office or call and ask questions. Thanks.
Good evening. My name is Jason Gammon. I reside at 89 Ohio Street. Actually, I'm a house manager for one of the Fresh Start solar houses. I figured it'd be important for me to come up because, I was on the streets. I came straight from prison. In my experience, they bend over backwards for their clients, their people, right? Their members. Sorry, that word clients. Sorry, James. If you're, I've seen a lot of things. If anyone does ever get discharged, they don't just get thrown out to the street. Okay, they literally will I've seen James at our house at 3 a.m, right, and making sure that someone was safe. We've kept people, I've definitely as a house manager seen it numerous times where people are using, and yes, it is a burden on the house managers and on the rest of the house, but if those members are trying, we're not gonna kick them out. And we're definitely not gonna leave them on the street so they have nowhere to go. We're gonna make sure they go somewhere where they're safe. So that, I don't know where that gossip is getting, where it's coming from, but I do know some of you guys personally, and I can tell you that I know you have our backs. Please allow that to stay. And then last thing I do want to say is bring Saturdays back for the buses. That is huge hindering, it really is on our members, people that have to get to work on the buses on Saturday. And then if you guys, you're in Penquist's building, right? There's some issues going on in Penquist's transportation slot. The buses are going to be important. So that's all I got. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work and thank you for everything you do, Jason.
Yeah.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Steve Santiago and I live in Hamden. I'm a
Sir,
community.
before you continue, are there other people who are residents of Bangor or own property in Bangor who would like to speak? Would like to allow those folks to go first.
Sissy?
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Brett Reed. I'm a resident of 38 Cattell Street in Bangor. I'm also a Fresh Start member, and I just want to speak on the accusation the Fresh Start Sober Living Housing Program is being accused of bringing people into the Fresh Start program and then kicking them out onto the streets frivolously, thus creating a rise in the homelessness in the Bangor area. The truth is that each member accepted into Fresh Start is an addict and/or alcoholic that suffers from a disease of addiction. Every member signs a contract and agreement to follow the sober house rules, attend meetings, programs, pay rent, and stay sober. However, not everyone is able to do so. Occasionally, people relapse and are not yet ready to change their lives. But in my experience, every person is given an opportunity here at a new life, as long as they are willing to work for it. Fresh Start meets people where they are at in their recovery, and if an individual is struggling and relapses, they are not discharged right away. They're counseled, offered help with detox, and once sober, allowed to go back into the house where they were provided the resources needed to continue on the road to recovery. Fresh Start has helped provide many addicts with a safe, stable living environment with peer support, relapse prevention plans, recovery resources, as well as provided an opportunity to become a healthy, productive member of the Bangor community. And many of the residents in Fresh Start all volunteer services within the community. Residents are able to find themselves working a steady job, being reunited with their families and friends, becoming part of a recovery network. Prior to coming to Fresh Start, I myself was caught up living in active addiction. I was living homeless on the streets under a bridge down here in Bangor for about 2 years. I was sleeping in stairways of apartment buildings or on park benches. Here in Bangor, I was homeless, helpless, and hopeless. You know, I came to Bangor to get help, to seek treatment, and my community of Machias, where I was originally from, didn't offer the resources that Bangor has that I needed at that time. So I came here and got into the methadone clinic and didn't have the resources to get a place to stay or get to commute back and forth. They didn't have that, and I had to stay on the street. I tried to get a job every day. I would go fill out job applications and didn't have a phone for them to call me back. I would go and walk there every day, checking in, trying to get hired on, trying to get there, but I was homeless, didn't have a place to shower, a stable place to live, and nobody wanted to give me a chance. Eventually, I was fortunate enough to have some counselors and people that worked with me that got me into a rehab program, and upon my release of the rehab, I was gonna go back onto the streets as a high-risk person and most likely relapse and go back into active addiction. But I was fortunate enough to get the opportunity to get into Fresh Start Sober Living House, and I'm grateful for that. Without that program, many people like me would not have that opportunity to get on their feet again. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Thank you to the Fresh Start community for coming. We do have a full room tonight. I want to get to folks on other topics. If there's anyone who lives or owns property in Bangor who has not spoken and would like to.
My name's Justin Cartier. I live on Essex Street in Bangor. And I owe a debt of gratitude to Scott Party, and thank you, sir. But I don't come to speak about Fresh Start today. I come to speak about the end of poisoning of our children here in Bangor. A federal judge, as you may know, has ruled late last month that water fluoridation at current U.S. levels poses an unreasonable risk of reduced IQ in children. I know the city has not yet taken any steps to stop the fluoridation program. At 0.7 milligrams per liter, the Judge Chen ruled that a preponderance of scientific evidence shows this level of fluoride exposure may damage human health, particularly that of pregnant mothers and young children. If we don't have immediate action to end that program here, you are knowingly injuring children and mothers. I hope that we take immediate steps, and in the interest of time, I'm going to end there because I think you'll all research this. If you hadn't heard about it before, you've heard about it tonight. And for every day that we go on continuing to fluoridate the water, we're poisoning our children. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kelly Hashi. I have a house in Maine, in Bangor.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Please do not have side conversations. It's disruptive for people trying to watch online. Thank you.
Do we start again or just continue?
Please go ahead and start again. Thank you.
My name is Kelly Hashi. I live off Broadway in Bangor. I was before the council over a month ago regarding my concern of the pool of breeding mosquitoes due to a developer causing an environmental disaster for us neighbors in the Lancaster Avenue neighborhood. The water is never controlled because of the Arctic bird this development was built near. The overpopulated development was passed despite engineers on our side proving our case. We said 2 years ago we have a big mosquito problem. We were unfortunately right. I originally asked for mosquito testing in my neighborhood and I got nothing from officials, but left in the dark. We have had plenty of mosquitoes in the neighborhood all year. Some of our dogs have gotten sick, and it is presumed from the diseases carried by mosquitoes, according to the vets that they went to. I work outside for my job doing landscaping, so I'm outside every day. We found dead birds all summer, and just today I found 2 dead crows, and my coworkers found another crow. Yesterday I found a dead sparrow. The problem is here and now. There is no cure for these diseases, no preventable shots for humans or animals, except one shot for horses to protect from Triple E. I found a biologist and have been working with him, and my biologist took one of my dead birds about a month ago to test, and he said his office is so overwhelmed with testing, I could presume that every dead bird I find in Bangor has Triple E or West Nile virus. So I guess I don't need a test anymore. I have all the proof I need. Beside the biologist, the Bangor Daily's listed numerous articles on the harm of this. In the article, it said at least 3 pools in Bangor tested positive and for these diseases. A pool is 50 or more infected mosquitoes. So where are these pools? And why doesn't the public have a right to know? Where is the transparency? Where is the concern for public health, which includes all of you? Mosquito-borne illnesses in Penobscot County have killed horses, cows, llama birds, and can kill us. It will swell your brain, and if you don't die, it still has a horrible outcome. There is no cure. A 41-year-old New Hampshire man died from this year. His family told the news that Perry was a healthy 41-year-old with no underlying conditions. He was hospitalized and died within a week. Mosquito-borne illnesses kill more people worldwide than any other diseases. What we should have is, like other states like Pennsylvania, they have a transparent website where you can publicly report and prevent the spread. So my bottom line is, let's buckle down and drain the pool behind us that has got to be filled permanently because it's the water that breeds the mosquitoes. I thank you.
My name is Judah Hart. I was born in Bangor, and I'm currently a rent-paying citizen of Bangor with Fresh Start. And I'd like to say that Fresh Start has is the most sustainable system in Bangor for anybody who has gone through any type of drug addiction or anything like that, homelessness or anything, and any type of allegation against Fresh Start. I would say that ultimately Fresh Start has done way more to benefit the community rather than harm it in any type of way. And there's numbers to show that. And there's another argument on the basis.
Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I've asked that we move on from the
Let him
first
speak.
conversation.
He's a member of Bangor. Doesn't he
Excuse
get a
me.
chance to speak?
I'm the one in charge tonight.
I see that timer.
I've
If
made my
you-
point clear. I appreciate it.
Thank you
Yeah, thank you.
very much. If you'd like to disrupt the meeting again, you can do so outside that door. Thank you. Is there anyone else from Bangor who would like to speak?
Good evening. My name is Jack McKay. I live in Bangor. And I want to speak. Fresh Start is a fantastic organization doing great work in a very difficult situation for folks, and it's been transformative. I'm the director of food and medicine. We partner with them for community gardens, collective gardens, and that's been really good. I would offer Bangor manages the community connector on behalf of Hamden, Brewer, VZ, Old Town, and Orono, so the folks that have a little bit of say in those issues. I'm really up here to speak for full-time service for our drivers so that we can have Saturday service. We really need to invest in those drivers and invest in that service. I'm very concerned that we have a positive, I should also say is I'm currently on a transit rider representative on the BACS committee, and I was also on the advisory committee for the Stantec study, and I've been working on bus issues for the past 10 years, but we really want a positive dynamic where expansive service, better service equals more people riding it, which equals better service, as opposed to a negative spiral where we cut back, fewer people ride it, and there's negative outcomes. Buses are a wonderful asset to our community, they're vital for folks. We need to invest in the drivers, they gotta be full-time. It's shocking that they're not full-time employees. And there's obviously a challenge in attracting employees. I know the city's worked harder on that, but I would really offer that, the city invests in their employees. Thank you.
Is there anyone from outside the city of Bangor who would like to speak?
Hello, my name's Susan Record. I'm from the town of Beasley, and I'm also a bus rider for the Community Connector. And I'm approaching City Hall Council with a heavy heart and very deeply disappointed. I rely on the Saturday service to come in and out of Bangor for social events, faith-based events, and to do my shopping. Because during the week, I'm in a lot of pain, with the heart and all these other medical issues that I'm dealing with. And by ending the bus service, for people that live in BZ and outside, it causes a great hardship all around. And I can understand from a Republican's end where you want to save money and cut corners. I can understand that because I'm a registered Republican myself. But for the cut corners, it will be a lot suitable to put the bus drivers on full-time, 8-hour shifts, 4 or 5 days a week, to extend Saturday service and possibly Sunday service. And it'll also bring much-needed revenues into the city of Bangor and the small businesses downtown. So, with that being said, I would very much appreciate it if we start Saturday service again and put the bus drivers on full-time and give them paid holiday like all the other city employees. It would make much more sense financially, and it will boost up the economy here in Bangor. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Sandy McIntosh. I live at 55 East Broadway, that's in Bangor. No sweat. There's a development behind my house. They put a road in next to my house for the development. They took the roots of the trees that were on my property. Those come down, hit my shed, damaged that. Then I kept getting a call from dog catcher about my dogs. They had zippy collars on that I spent thousands of dollars for. But the puppy would run. Well, the developer called the dog catcher on my dogs. So she come. I tried to put new windows in the house. Well, guess what? The developer called the code enforcement officer. He come. And then I get a call from his lawyer, not a call. It was a paper that came and said, I can't go out on the property behind my house or I get arrested. So I say that he's hassled me for 2 years. He's parked in front of my house, took pictures of my house, watched me, whatever I'm doing in the yard, hides behind my shed in his truck. If my husband comes out, he takes off. So this is what we put up with. We also put up with construction dirt. It blows through my house. Fire alarms go off at all hours of the night because of dirt. My heat pumps, the construction in the dirt has been overwhelming. It's costing us money replacing stuff. I bought a bug catcher. It lasted a month because of the mosquitoes that they built the great big giant mosquito hole down next to my shed. It's on his property, but it's right by my house. It's green with pollution. We can't even go out. My dogs got sick. I don't know if it's the West Nile or what. I've got speeding cars coming down my road. It's a narrow road, dead-end street, but the developer put it into his development. Now, they speed down because the people out back think they own everything. And I don't think it's fair. I got a narrow road, I got mosquitoes, they've wrecked my shed, the trees are down. My house is full of dirt. Do any of you want to come and help me clean? I'll take anybody. Every day I'm dusting and cleaning. I can't keep up, not with the big dump trucks coming, gravel trucks coming. Then they go and run a machine to clean the dirt out of their road. And it's a big cloud of dust that's blowing through the air. Well, that's all I got to say. Where's the help? Who's gonna volunteer to come clean? Anybody? Who's good at cleaning? Anybody? Well, I said it. Did I hear
My
it?
name's John Lee. I'm not a resident, but I am an employee of the city. I work at the Community Connector as a bus driver. And like the other speakers, there are a lot of rumors and misinformation being put out there. And I thought I'd just like to try to come and clear some of this up. I've spent 30 years in the transit industry, and I had come from places where we have both part-time and full-time employees, and it works. The fact that we continuously find ourselves understaffed and undermanaged is, not undermanaged, but understaffed with a manpower issue is a management problem, not a driver problem. And for people to say that somehow Saturday service was canceled or suspended because drivers weren't picking up shifts is completely false. If you look to the 6 to 8 weeks prior to Saturday service being cut down, we were doing an average of 36 shifts each week. These shifts are over 6 hours, and we were filling every one of them. Drivers were working 50, 60, and 70-hour shifts to cover that work so that our passengers had a bus to get where they had to get to. So that, you know, that saying of insanity, when you keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result, is what's happening here. To only offer part-time employment attracts people who only want to work part-time. Imagine that. So when they come here, they don't want to work 50, 60, 70 hours a week. They're not here for longevity. They're not looking for a career. It's a part-time job. So you have a revolving door. We're constantly training new drivers, right? Because they're walking out as fast as they come in. We can't keep up. By adding full-time opportunities to Community Connector, you will attract people who want a career. They want to spend time at a place and build longevity. It only makes sense. You will increase your manpower hours with the drivers you have immediately by offering more hours. Now, I get that there are certain expenses that come with that, right? Some benefits. And when you are asking drivers, we are part-time. However, every single run, 26 bus routes, works 5 days a week. Does that sound part-time? We do an average of 33.79 hours a week. You add 1 day to that and you're over 40. Okay, so we are not only asked, we are expected to work extra shifts at the Community Connector. We are the ones who have to pick up the slack because they don't have the manpower to run the place right. We have had drivers called into the office, told they had to step up, be a team player, pick up an extra shift. It's got to stop. You have to fix what's broken, offer the full-time employment, and get this system running the way it should. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, or good evening to the members of the board. My name is Steve Santiago. I live in Hamden. I am currently a organizer with Food and Medicine and the designated organizer for Transportation for All. As Jack previously mentioned, we are the official passenger reps for the Community Connector service via Jack McKay. I'm here to address the issue of the cancellation of the Community Connector Saturday services. We would like to see the bus drivers made full-time and receive a wage increase. According to Ms. Courtney O'Donnell, Assistant City Manager, in her public statement, she said the reason for cancellation of Saturday service was a lack of qualified and available drivers. After consulting with numerous riders, drivers, and supporters, it's clear that the current part-time status of our drivers must change. Offering full-time positions and increased wages will attract qualified CDL drivers seeking long-term career opportunities with the city. We cannot run the City Connector on the cheap. The more investment made into the community connector, the more ridership will increase. A goal we both agree with, and for what they pay in overtime, they should be able to offer them full-time. Transportation for All is again, food and medicine program, which has conducted surveys to gather feedback on improving community connector service. A significant number of responses expressed the need for service during nights and weekends. The 4 reasons often fall into 4 categories: employment, socialization, shopping, and faith and community service. It's the socialization, I think, is really an important part of it, because it really brings the character to the community. It allows people to join in the community, to partake in events, all the special events that occur. A lot of people use the bus service just to get out of the house. We have a lot of seniors that ride the bus service just to be able to get out of the house. And I think that says a lot for our community, that we can do things better. Given these insights, we strongly urge the investment of Saturday service, restoring the Saturday service. Restoring the service will help our community thrive. We want the community connected to move forward in a positive direction, not a negative one. No need to go back in time that services were limited. Moving forward should reflect more services available, attracting more riders. Thank you for your time.
Hello, my name is John Bucker. I'm a resident of Bangor, and I ride the community connector a lot. And so I like to, because I like to get out of the house on Saturdays. Because I go visit my friends with the fire departments, and I also support our public safety people here. And I rely on the buses a lot to get out of the house on Saturdays. So so that way I don't spend oodles and oodles of money on Ubers, Lyfts, or cabs. It's all too, because we need the buses on Saturdays too. It's all too, because on Saturdays I like to go out and stuff like that too, because it's getting ridiculous. With those buses on Saturdays, nothing. People just literally just stay home, and and people work stuff. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say.
Good evening. My name's Pamela Murphy. I live in Carmel. I am employed at Community Connector as transit operator and ATU Local 714 shop steward. The reason we're here is to bring to your attention the driver shortage that exists currently at Community Connector. The shortage of drivers has resulted in the suspension of Saturday service. This is the second time this has happened. Drivers have until recently stepped up and worked double shifts. This means that these drivers have worked 40, 50, 60, and one driver did a 70-hour work week. I have a copy of his check stub, and the week that he worked 70 hours was July 11th, 24 stub date. If drivers that are working part-time, putting in full-time hours, then they should be getting full-time benefits. Gradually, drivers just quit working double shifts, which average 13 hours a day. Not every driver wants full-time. There are those of us who wish to remain part-time. When drivers quit doing double shifts, there were some that were called into the office and badgered about why they couldn't do this shift or that shift. We were also told that if everyone did one shift extra a week, then service could continue, and there wouldn't be a lapse in service. This could be considered harassment. I might add that the drivers were not informed by management that Saturday service had been suspended. Our passengers informed us. We were, and rightly so, very angry at the disrespect shown to us by management. The ATU Local 714 has repeatedly in contract negotiations pushed for status for those individuals who want full-time.
That request has been denied repeatedly over the last few years. If any employee whose status is part-time yet they are working full-time hours, then that employee should be offered full-time status with the benefits attached. The responsibility of recruiting and retaining employees is that of management, not the drivers. Ultimately, the ones who are affected the most are the members of the riding public, and a lot of whom are your constituents. Thank you.
My name is David Bentley. I live in BZ and I run a Facebook page, the Bangor Bus Riders Group. And ever since the Saturday service has been taken away, I've had nothing but problems because a lot of people say they work 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and me one of them, and we use Saturdays to go around and do our shopping and appointments and everything. And so not having Saturday service really puts a hurt on a lot of people, and especially in all the towns that the community connector services. And everything else, I mean, yeah, the driver should be full-time, and that would probably solve a lot of the revolving door that they seem to be having at this time. And that's pretty much what I've heard and that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Donna Loving, and I am a resident of Orono. I used to be a resident of Bangor. I am a bus driver. I've worked for 8 years for the Community Connector. And one of the things I looked up was how much the city of Orono, the town of Orono, gives the city of Bangor for the Community Connector. And the fiscal year 24, it was $133,000. And that was expecting service 6 days a week. They've now brought it down to 5 days a week. And so that those communities that do participate and help fund this Community Connector transit system should really have a part in this and hear from those other towns. And that's where BAX is involved, Transportation for All. And I just wanted to speak on behalf of those surrounding areas that we do rely on the city of Bangor to do what's right and just to provide service. Full-time is what we need. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the room? Last call.
I didn't get the memo about the Community Connector. I'm very supportive and was a rider for many years and continued to ride, so thank you to Fresh Start, thank you. So I'm going to speak about something else, so you're welcome to leave. It won't bother me at all. So I'm Doug Dunbar. I live just over the line in Herman, born and raised in Bangor. And I sent an email to you, but before I read some of it, I just wanted to say that earlier tonight at the workshop, one counselor finally said what I think needs to be said. And Carol, you and I may disagree on some issues, I don't know, or the way forward on our homelessness issue. But thank you for acknowledging, I think the words you used were something to the effect of, as leaders we have failed, or we are failing. And saying or acknowledging failure to me is a good thing. I'm someone who's 7 years in recovery from alcohol use disorder. And not until I said I have totally failed. And I've got to do things completely different or drastically different. Did my life start to get better? So acknowledging failure, to me, I think is a valuable thing at times. And it can lead to a fresh start and a new way forward. So I'll just read a little of this. I'm sure the bell will go off, but it was emailed to you earlier today. By the way, I came here from the encampment, and I'm here to talk about homelessness. And so I wrote to you earlier today, if you haven't spent much time at the encampment behind Hope House, engaging in meaningful conversations, it may not be apparent that many residents have little or no trust in the city of Bangor. Based on months or years of experience, they feel largely abandoned by local government. They believe the city has failed to treat them with even a modest measure of decency or dignity. Residents of the encampment are not the primary problem To a significant extent, they are symptoms of failures on the part of government, various systems, and society in general. City officials and administrators should stop speaking and writing about those people in ways that demean, stigmatize, and vilify them. You do this, for example, when implying they are an ongoing threat to UMA students or suggesting there's an arsenal of guns at the encampment. Too often, people in government, like me, I worked in government for 30 years, believe we know what's best, even when we lack expertise. Too often, we make serious mistakes when ignoring years of research and evidence-based best practices. Abundant research informs us that sweeping away the residents of Camp Hope, and Joe, you've spoken about this, sweeps are counterproductive and harmful. 10 reports and articles were sent to you as part of this email from the American Public Health Association and other reputable organizations. They all advise against what you were proposing to do. The United States Interagency Council on Homelessness also advises against what you were planning. The 19 strategies, we've heard about those, you know what I'm talking about, say do not close an encampment without housing and without involving the voices of those residents. Thank you.
How's it going? My name's James McBride. I live in 52 Blackstone, Bangor. I've been a member with Fresh Start since 2021, been a manager since then. All I want to say is we save lives and we do a lot of community service. We pick up a lot of syringes so the kids can run around. So we do a lot more than what you guys think we don't do. So basically it. So thank you.
Seeing no one else approach. Go online. Tamara Benson.
Hello, my name is Tamara Benson. I am a resident of Old Town and I work in Bangor. I am here today to talk about a similar issue to Doug. I am here to talk about the homeless encampment in Bangor. I sat in on the workshop earlier today, and I just want to say I am thankful for the efforts that you're making to house people and to keep people sheltered and warm during the winter. I'm thankful that you're talking directly with individuals who are currently living in the encampment. I appreciate your coordinating with outreach workers and service providers. I would really like to note that if it's possible to include unhoused community members, which I know it is, in the upcoming meetings that were discussed in the workshop, that would add such a crucial perspective in those meetings and would lead to solutions that I don't think otherwise would be reached. I hear that you're planning to be adaptive depending on circumstances of each individual. As somebody who has been directly involved in outreach efforts, I want to highlight how crucial that adaptability is. Each of these individuals are unique people with unique challenges, unique life circumstances, unique beliefs, unique support systems, unique capacities for engagement. Everyone at the encampment is there for a different reason, but they're all there because that is currently what they have found to be the best option for them. No one is excited to live at the encampment, but they are there because they have found a place to access shelter, a community of people with similar challenges and experiences, and a consistent cycle of outreach workers. Clearly, these people need housing. Every effort should be made to house and shelter as many of these people as possible, and I'm thankful for the efforts that you're making. It's also important to understand that not all of these people will be housed in the next few months, which I'm glad that you touched on in the workshop earlier. Some of them are not ready for reasons that are no one's business but their own. Some of these people are not ready to uproot their lives the way that they are now, even if they would much rather be housed. That doesn't mean they'll never be ready, but maybe they're just not ready now. And I really want to emphasize with every fiber of my being that these people should not be criminalized or punished for the circumstances that they are facing. They should be supported in every possible way until they are ready to, and to quote the workshop earlier, exit the cycle of homelessness. So I have some questions, and I can send a follow-up email so that I can get answers. But I'm wondering what will happen to the people who can't be housed in the next few months. Okay, I will submit my questions through email, but I want to emphasize that uprooting people and closing the encampment is not a solution. Thank you.
Jackson Peck?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Jackson Peck, and I am a resident of Brewer. And I also work in Bangor and am involved in outreach at Camp Hope. A few people have already mentioned some really great points, but I know that in the workshop, Councilman Leonard mentioned the 19 strategies and how critical they are. And I think it's important that we follow those 19 strategies. They were, put together by experts that have done a lot of research throughout the country. And I specifically wanted to mention two of them. Strategy number 16 is ensure that encampments are closed humanely. And that brings me to a question, which I don't know if you can answer now, but I'm curious why the decision is that we're going to be, removing anybody from this encampment going into the wintertime, when extreme weather events increasingly over the past few years have posed really serious health risks to people. The potential of death if these people are forced out of the tents that they've currently working on insulating to keep themselves alive. If those folks are displaced, it certainly increases the I'm curious to know if there's any rationale as to why now and not in the springtime or in midsummer. Why the winter? I'll send an email if we can answer that way. I didn't know if you would answer questions. On the second one I wanted to mention was number 16, which is was number 8, which is to track the availability of housing and shelters. I don't know if there's a centralized system for which Bangor tracks the different warming shelters, what time of day they're open, which ones are night, which ones are dry. I know there's a lot of availability for shelter during the wintertime. There's a lot of very generous groups out there, but I think it's important that we start to centralize that and be able to show that as opportunities to get out of these extreme weather events for folks. And so I would just strongly encourage an empathetic approach when trying to find these folks housing and trying to accomplish the goals.
All right, seeing no one else online, public comment is closed. We'll move on to the consent agenda.
Minutes of Bangor City Council meeting of September 23rd, 2024. Business and Economic Development Committee meeting of September 16th, 2024. Government Operations Committee meeting of September 23rd, 2024.
Folks, as you're exiting the room, please keep the noise to a minimum. Thank you. Go ahead.
Finance Committee meetings of September 23rd, 2024 and October 7th, 2024. Liquor license renewals, application for liquor license renewal, Malt Wine Spirits of China Harbor Restaurant, Inc., doing business as China Harbor Restaurant, 547 Main Street. Application for liquor license renewal, Malt Wine Spirits of Texas Roadhouse Holdings, LLC, doing business as Texas Roadhouse, 504 Stillwater Avenue. Liquor license new, application for liquor license new, Malt Wine Spirits of Scoreboard Social, LLC, doing business as Benjamin's Pub, 123 Franklin Street, Suite B. 24-303 order authorizing the execution of a municipal bill of sale for real estate located at 16 A Street. 24-304 order authorizing the execution of a municipal bill of sale for real estate located at 21 Holiday Park. 24-305 authorizing the execution of a municipal quitclaim deed for real estate located at 84 Elm Street. 24-306 order authorizing the execution of a municipal bill of sale for real estate located at 428 Holiday Park. 24-307 order authorizing the execution of a municipal quitclaim deed for real estate located at 649 Hammond Street. 24-308 order authorizing the execution of a municipal bill of sale for real estate located at 13 B Street. 24-309 order authorizing the execution of municipal bill of sale located at 90 Holiday Park. 24-310 order authorizing the execution of municipal bill of sale located at 59 Pushar Road. 24-311 order appointing nominees to various boards, commissions, and committees. 24-312 order authorizing purchase of a front-end loader with plow and wing from United Construction and Forestry for $301,900. 24-313 order adopting the city's revised mature tax or utility lien policy to comply with new state law. 24-314 order authorizing contract award to Eastwood Contractors, Inc. for the Hildreth Street North Force Main Sewer Replacement Project in the amount of $313,125. 24-315 order authorizing the execution of a collective bargaining agreement between the City of Bangor and International Association of Firefighters representing the Bangor Firefighters Local 772. 24-316 order amending the event permit policy. 24-317 order authorizing contract with WB Mason for furniture and fixtures for the City Hall renovation in the amount of $537,880.88.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Move passage of the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Questions or discussion on this item?
Public allowed to comment?
If you have a comment pertaining to items on the consent agenda, yes, you may approach the podium.
Okay, item 24-312, reviewed and recommended for approval by the Finance Committee October 7th. The woman earlier tonight made a public comment about receiving money from Orno for the bus section of the city. It's a great comment, but that university up there has so much money coming in and outside of the state of
Mr. Norton, this is not
Maine.
related to the purchase of a front-end loader. If you'd like to talk
No,
about the
it does,
front-end
if you let
loader,
me finish.
please.
Why is the sky blue must be answered prior to these excessive expenditures when people are being held hostage by your city government. Thank you. I object to the order, 312.
Any other comments or discussion? Seeing none, consent agenda has passage. Referrals to committee and first reading.
24-318 ordinance amending chapter 165 Land Development Code District Map to rezone a property located at 12 Wiley Street from Urban Residence 1 District URD 1 to Multifamily and Service District MNSD. First reading and referral to Planning Board meeting of November 19th, 2024. 24-319 ordinance amending City Code Chapter 231, Public Parks, and Chapter 234, Public Property, to improve the enforceability of the city's event permit policy and for added safety in public parks and on public property. First reading.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Move referral to committee in first reading.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Seeing no objection, the items are referred. Unfinished business.
24-297 resolve authorizing city manager to accept and appropriate funding from the 2024 Inflation Reduction Act Urban and Community Forestry Project Canopy Grant in the amount of $75,000 through the Maine Forest Service. Councilor Dean.
Well, thank you, Madam Clerk. This resolve would authorize the city manager to accept and appropriate grant funding in the amount of $75,000 through the Maine Forest Service. This 2024 Inflation Reduction Act Urban and Community Forestry Project Canopy Grant would enable the creation of an urban forest management plan for street and urban park trees in the city of Bangor. There is no local matching component required of this grant award. The creation of the urban forest management plan will be managed by the Public Works Department in coordination with the Parks and Recreation Department. This item was reviewed and recommended at the Finance Committee meeting on September 16th, 2024. I move passage of Resolve 24-297.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Dean. We have a motion. We have a second.
I have an objection. Left.
Mr. Norton, I'm not inclined to allow you to speak again unless you can directly relate your comment to this resolve appropriating these funds.
I can do that.
Please approach the podium.
All right. I'm listening to blanket agreements behind the scenes. I recommend $75,000 be attributed to furniture blankets from Home Depot for all the homeless for the winter, instead of this blanket agreement conjecture all evening after the public leaves.
Is there any other questions or discussion? Seeing none, item 24-297 has passed. New business.
Public hearing, application for special amusement license renewal of 81 Park Street LLC, doing business as the Terratine, 81 Park Street, Councilor Hawes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I move to open the public hearing.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Public hearing is open.
Is that my cue? I don't think any time should be spent on any licensing for the Terratine because there's nothing special about it but the hostage situation with regard to my identity in this city and in this country and world. Get rid of them.
Seeing no one else approach, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. There's no one online. Public hearing is closed.
I move passage of the application for special amusement license renewal of 81 Park Street LLC, doing business as the Terratine, 81 Park Street.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Seeing no objection, application for special amusement license is granted. Next item.
24-320, resolve ratifying the city manager's actions in submitting a U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Pathways to Removing Obstacles to Housing, PRO Housing Programs Grant application in the amount of $7 million to provide assistance for increasing affordable housing. Councilor Schaefer.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I move passage of Resolve 24-320.
Second.
This resolve would ratify the city manager's actions in submitting a U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Pathways to Removing Obstacles to Housing Programs grant application and the amount of $7 million to provide assistance for increasing affordable housing. This grant opportunity was reviewed and recommended for passage by the Business and Economic Development Committee on October 7th, 2024. As the application was due prior to the City Council meeting, if approved, this order will ratify staff's action in submitting a HUD Pro Housing Program grant application. This opportunity provides funding to eligible local governments to assist communities that are actively taking steps to remove barriers to affordable housing production and preservation. While Bangor has addressed many regulatory barriers and other issues that have made it difficult to access affordable housing, many challenging conditions remain. The city's aging infrastructure, overall high cost of development, and the shortage of construction workers have made building affordable housing increasingly difficult. If successful, these funds would support planning, development, and redevelopment activities to achieve better housing outcomes, all of which emphasize equity, affordability, and sustainability. This item was reviewed and recommended at the Business and Economic Development Committee meeting on October 7th, 2024.
Thank you, Councilor Schaefer. We have a motion. We have a second.
I just wanted to make one follow-up comment, just because I see that Ms. Benson is still on the line, and I know she's always looking for housing, and this is another example of housing is boring, and this is one of the pathways we get there. That's all.
Thank you. Other discussion on this item? Seeing none, Resolve 24-320 has passage. Final item on the agenda.
24-231, order authorizing the city managers to submit a grant application to the Northern Border Commission Catalyst Grant for construction funding of the Bangor Central Kitchen. Councilor Leonard.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Make a motion on 24-231.
Second.
This order would authorize an application to the Northern Border Commission to help fund the Central Kitchen. On September 6, 2024, the Business and Economic Development Committee approved the submission of a pre-application for this grant. The city was invited to apply officially on September 26th. The city has secured $1.5 million in a congressional outlay. However, the construction of the kitchen will likely be over $3 million. Staff have been working on seeking other funding sources to close the gap in construction costs. Eastern Maine Development Corporation oversees this grant program. Applicants awarded for the infrastructure projects may be eligible to receive a total maximum award of $1 million.
Thank you, Councilor Leonard. We have a motion, we have a second. Questions or discussion on this item? Seeing none, 24-231 has passage. Brings us to the end of the regular agenda for the evening. Do we have any comments from staff?
Tonight, I think we should wish our Community and Economic Development Director a happy birthday. For
Should we ask what year or no? Other comments from staff? Thank you. Closing comments. Councilor Leonard.
Good night.
Councilor Fournier.
Just to get back to Justin's comment about fluoridation, I think you're best suited to go to the water district because that's who controls the water. And I happen to know that Floods Pond does have a natural element of fluoridation that just occurs. With that, I will say good night.
Thank you. Councilor Schaefer.
As it is my penultimate city council meeting, because I was so glib with housing is boring, I know that Tamara Benson has heard me say that, I just mean that housing is not glamorous and magical and poof, here's a new beautiful housing development. It's pathways to affordable housing are done through things like grant applications and a lot of hard work that's happening. It's like the duck paddling underwater. There's a lot of work that's happening and it looks really boring unless you know what you're looking at. So that's what I meant by that. And early voting is open, the ballot box is open, and my daughter cast her first vote when she was home for college with an absentee ballot by filling it out, dropping it off in our ballot box, which is super convenient. It's right here. I just want to ask where it is. I'm like, it's at City Hall, but it's temporary City Hall. It's really easy to come in at 7:30 in the morning when you're taking your little sister to school and drop off your ballot. And I appreciate the efforts in making absentee voting really accessible for everyone. And with that, good night.
Councilor Dean.
I would like to say goodnight, but before I do that, I just want to mention something personal. Anyone that might be watching, and they haven't seen my Facebook post, my son and his beautiful girlfriend are now engaged. So James and Tori, congratulations, and all of Bangor that's watching, you can congratulate them when you see them. Thank you.
Councilor Yakubaga.
Congratulations to your son. Happy birthday, Anna. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you. Councilor Haas.
Good night. Happy birthday, Ann.
Councilor Fish.
I'd just like to say for people at home, and I appreciate all the public comments. It's always nice for us to hear where the residents are coming from, their thoughts and their concerns. But at the same time, I think residents at home don't understand there's a lot of things behind the scenes going on, and sometimes I invite you to call the city, call to the department heads and ask some questions. If they're able, they'll answer them. But I know our staff and our leaders work very hard, and I'm proud to be on council. I'm proud of our leaders, and not to say we couldn't continue to improve, and we're trying, but I do appreciate everyone coming out, and I hope they continue to come out and get out and vote. Good night.
Thank you, Councilor Fish. We'll just echo the comments from council. Early voting is open. I know we have a number of folks still sitting in the room tonight who are seeking office. I'm sure they would appreciate people getting out to vote as well, so please make sure you vote early, but only once. Not early and often, just once. The other thing I wanted to say tonight is there was a press release that went out last week about an award given to our police chief, Mark Hathaway. He was awarded, I have it here because I don't want to say the wrong thing, the 2024 Ethel N. Kelly Memorial Award during the Maine Municipal Association's 88th Annual Convention last Wednesday. It commemorates not only MMA's 50th anniversary, but also to honor the award's namesake, Ethel Kelly, who held municipal government service in high regard. Chief Hathaway has 37 years of experience in law enforcement. He began his career as a patrol officer in Vesey before he joined the Biddeford Police Department. 2 years later, he came back to us here in Penobscot County, joined the Bangor PD, and worked his way through the ranks before being named chief in 2013. So congratulations on your award. Thank you for your long tenure of service to the city of Bangor. It is a pleasure to work with you, and we appreciate you.
Appreciate it very much.
Would you like to say it?
I'll just say this, I feel very fortunate to work for the city, and I am grateful to the city manager and the assistant city manager, and I do appreciate the support from city council. I feel very fortunate. I am so grateful to have received this award, and I feel like I've had just an outstanding career, and I work in a wonderful community, and I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, that's it for me.